Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Kechidori.
Hi guys, welcome back to another very special episode, and with me today is Lina Khalifeh, who is the founder and owner of Shefighter, and has done extremely well over a fairly short period of time. Now, she started her studio in 2012 and has trained more than 18,000 women and certified 550 instructors all over the world. Lina has had some amazing achievement from the moment she coined her idea or brought her idea to life to where it is right now. One of those achievements is when she got mentioned by President Barack Obama in his White House speech in 2015, and also was recognized by Hillary Clinton, and has had so many achievements over the years. And we're truly excited to be having Lina on the show because we're going to be talking about her journey, which you as a business owner can learn one or two things into your life or into your business. As you know, success leaves school. Lina certainly did something for a business for it to grow from nothing to supporting over 18,000 women and training others to do the same thing. Lina, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Lina, where are you joining me here from?
Toronto, Canada.
Awesome. Now, I know you're from Jordan, and there are people here who want to know where you're from and maybe a bit about your story, how you come to do what you do. Give us a bit of...
So I'm originally from Jordan, Amman, the city. And I was in Taekwondo all my life. I had my black belt, free Dan. I won 20 gold medals. I'm always a champion in martial arts. But then I realized that martial arts is mostly dominated by men, and there is no academies for women or studios. And then when my friend, it was just an idea. And then when my friend was abused at the university by her brother and father, she came with bruises on her face. I realized that it's time to do something about it. And I started to teach women self-defense at the basement of my parents' house. And it was just an idea about just training and solving a problem. But then in 2 years' time, I took it more seriously, and I set up the first self-defense studio for women, Shefighter, in the Middle East, in Jordan. It was in 2012.
Wow, amazing. What I love about that beginning is that you use what you got to solve a problem that you saw, and look at where it got you and how many people you're helping. So let's look back at the time that you started in 2012. How do you move from knowing what you needed to do, because you're now on a mission, to actually taking the very first step? What did you do?
Well, when you set up a business or an idea, you don't have all the solutions, you don't have all the answers. And I look at it as a project. So it's a non-ending, evolving project. So of course, I had questions. Every time a problem would rise, I have to look for solution. I always say to myself, I'm allowed to complain for a few days, and then I have to find a solution. Sometimes the solution takes a lot of time. So, for example, when I set up the studio, I was just doing everything by myself. I did not have the capital to have, to set up the whole thing, to have employees, and I'm just starting by myself. So I'm doing everything from sales to training kids, to training women, to training, everything. And at the same time, I was registering clients. I was doing everything. Then I got completely tired after 1 year. I said, I cannot be doing that all by myself. But the good thing, when you have a community, the students, the people you train, they start helping you out voluntarily. Like if I'm training and the phone rings, I just call I'll tell someone, go answer the phone and take their notes. And they do that. They just interrupt their workout and they go answer the phone. It's a community. So I created that kind of atmosphere where people felt like home. And then I decided that, okay, I need to start hiring people. How can I hire people who has zero background in what I'm teaching, because it's a new system? So I started hiring people with different skills like taekwondo, karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, and it was all failing badly because those people were following their martial arts system, not the Shefighter system that I created. It's a new system. Then I said, this is really hard. I created a new system. I don't have trainers. They don't have the knowledge. What can I do about it? Then I came up with something. It took me 2 years to come up with the training manual. So after the training manual, I started training and certifying trainers. At the beginning, it was hard because I said, who wants to pay for a training of trainers program by Shefighter? And we don't have any record. But I started with the people that came to my studio in the first place, people who believed in me. Yeah. And I had 4 trainers at the beginning. It was 2014. And then it just boomed. We now certified more than 600 instructors. We have our online system. We're certifying, we have a different mechanism of certifying trainers and evaluating their training. So I always say it's just not easy to be a business person or someone who's just full of ideas, but I think that's how ideas happen. You have to challenge yourself. You're not going to get the answers. You're not going to get the capital directly. But all you have to do is just test everything that might work at the moment. And some ideas, it's not their time yet. Yeah. They might work in 10 years later, but it doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that your ideas, your thoughts might need some time to work. So it's a different life for an entrepreneur. It's completely different life.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Somebody once said, when you become an entrepreneur, you grow in many ways that you didn't even know you could grow.
Yeah. You grow and you challenge yourself, and then you discover that you're even talented in many ways that the world did not open up those opportunities for you. And when you discover that talent that you have, it's like discovering a mine of gold. Yeah. It's like discovering a mine of gold, and then you work on this talent that you already have that was in you a long time ago, but nobody recognized it, nobody even highlighted to you. Yeah. But then when you discover it, it's like exactly finding a mine. It just needs you need to work on the platform, but you have the talent. You just need to work on, getting your branding together, getting things done for you together, and getting the right connection to get you to where you want to head. But it doesn't mean that you're gonna head to that direction this year or next year. It might take some time.
Yeah, I want to talk about some of the lessons you learned during the process of bringing your ideas to life. But before we do that, you have a fascinating story of how the office of the president contacted you in Jordan, which I think is fascinating, and there's some lesson in it. Would you share with our audience, Lina?
Yeah. Well, I was busy doing my thing, training and teaching, and my studio was completely packed with clients. And suddenly I was in my office. I received an email from the White House inviting me to a global conference. And I said they might mistake, or this can be a scam or junk. Junk mail. So I just ignored it, did not reply. I was busy anyway. And then after a few days, I received a phone call from the White House, and they said, we sent you an email. And I'm like, oh, I did not see it. I did not say, I thought it's a scam. And they said, well, we love your story, and we want to invite you to the White House. We have a Global Entrepreneurship Day, and President Obama might be there. They said might be there. So I thought, like, at that moment, I had a thought in my head, why he wouldn't be there? It's his house, right? But then I flew to Washington, D.C., and President Obama mentioned me in his speech that it's one of the social enterprises that he would, like he said that in the speech, like I'm a world leader and I'm changing women's lives, and he just gave me recognition for it.
Awesome.
So that was a big change later on for my life.
Yes, and I'm sure you started attracting more clients as a direct result of that.
Well, surprisingly, not. In Jordan, it's different culture. When I got back, I was just celebrated my parents. Like they were excited, but everybody else acted like nothing happened.
Yeah.
For a long time, like 6, 7, 8 months, nothing. And suddenly I started speaking about it on a global platform, when I speak on different stages, and people started to know more about, that moment where President Obama mentioned my story. But if I never mentioned it out there, it would have been gone with the same moment that happened.
Amazing. What I really love about that is, as a business owner, especially for business owners and for me, is when you focus on working on your project and you give it all, you just don't know who will see what you're doing. So, even in those difficult moments when it seems like things are not going well and you're dealing with everyday aspects of business, but if you just persist in that, you will get recognized one way or the other, and you reach your goals. Let's talk about some of the challenges that you had to face in taking your idea to the world. I know when we spoke earlier on, one of those things was to do with culture. Talk to us about that for a moment.
Yeah. So many challenges. First, a challenge with myself. So, I mean, starting with myself, it's a big one. It's a big one because I am pushing myself to achieve more than I could dream of. And then there's this feeling that is so completely confident that you're going to achieve it, while I'm having this fight with my two kind of brains. One believing that feeling, one is doubting that feeling. So I had this fight for a long time, and I still have it from time to time, every time I push myself to do something bigger. The other fight would be with the culture. The culture in Jordan, they were not ready for such change.
Yeah.
I was talking about not just self-defense and martial arts. As martial arts, I was talking about other issues like self-confidence in women, doubt, fear, dark side, why women believe that they're weak, the belief system, where it all started. I started talking about topics they never thought about. It was hard because they would just follow what religion says and never question it, which is okay. It's it gives you religion gives you such a relief sometimes, but you need to keep your brain working in order to understand more about life. But it's hard. That's why I say it wasn't just a business idea. It was, of course, I got high demand. I had high revenue. I was selling really well. It's because I branded my system in a way that attract people at the moment. So I did not go and talk about fear at the beginning. I started talking about fear after 6 years of business. So yeah, the culture is not ready for it. It wasn't ready for it at that time. Then I had to take it step by step, slowly. I'm like, okay, it's not the time to talk about this. It's not the time to train this. It's not the time to mention that. But I always waited for that moment and then started expanding the philosophy. I call it the philosophy of the training, of the Shefighter training, which is connecting mind, body, and spirit, and questioning, why you came to this planet, what's your mission on Earth, everything. But it starts with a self-defense training, and it leads you all the way to having this deep connection with yourself.
Yeah, I know, because you talk about this in some of your conversation on different platforms around the world. I want to take you back
Yeah.
to the challenge you mentioned about with yourself. How did you overcome that? Because you are in a in a place where probably there is not so many people around you to encourage you to think like you were thinking at the time. How did you go about moving?
It's always tough. You kind of beat up yourself sometimes, and you expect too much of yourself. And especially if you climb higher the ladder, it becomes harder. Like now, I expect even more things than when I started. And then I go back and I breathe and like, you're still a human being. Stop expecting a lot from yourself. Like, for example, this is not the right time for it. The thing is, I would achieve all these things that I expect. It's just the timing. So then I realized everybody has their own time in life. So time, really, like what we created about time and dimension, it's time doesn't really matter anymore when you're gonna achieve certain things in different times than other people, while these times are just meant for you. Then you can be relaxed in, let's say, in the Caribbean for a whole year. Nobody knows about you because it's not your time yet. And you think you're a failure. And then suddenly, you try to push yourself to do something, but it's still not your time. And then suddenly, it all change, and then it is your time. If you understand what I say, it's like kind of, people think that they should achieve everything in their 20s, for example, or they should get a job by age of 25, or they need to make money by age of 30, or that's not gonna happen to everybody. Everybody has their own journey and their own timing and their own growth. Like some people make them, like they become millionaires at the age of 20, but then they commit suicide at 27 and life is done for them. So I started to think more about not worrying too much about income and fame and achievements, because you're kind of you go on your path, and some things are meant for you, even if you do not, if you live at the end of the world.
Yeah.
If these things are meant for you, they will come for you. I started believing in that way.
Yeah.
But what you do, it doesn't mean you sit on a couch and be lazy. It means that you just do what you are doing bad. Like you just enjoy life every day. You work on yourself, you do what you love to do, and then suddenly someone notice, or someone call you, or you get an invitation to an opportunity. But I always opened up for opportunities that they kept coming. President Obama was not the first opportunity. The first opportunity was an opportunity before President Obama. It was in 2014, where I won the Women in Business Award in the United Nations in Geneva. And it was the first time that they give an award for a self-defense system for women. They never done that before. Even people were crying, because for them it was a big celebration for a new kind of teaching methods in the United Nations to change how we think about solutions. And it opened a lot of doors, opportunities.
Yeah, amazing. Let's talk about one of the struggles, which I know you mentioned earlier on, which is lack of investment when you were getting started, and how you got around that. Because you were just a young kid, really.
Yeah, I was very young. Of course, a lot of when you start, you usually expect that people will invest in your idea. No, why? Like if you're just starting an idea, why do people want to risk their money unless they believe in you? Which we don't have that kind of culture in the Middle East. Like they don't believe in women. End of discussion. But they might believe in someone who's related to you, and like family, tribe, kind of like You can get the money from, your uncle, your father, but it wasn't the case for me. It was kind of challenging everybody else that I can set up something and I can make a living out of it, because they believed what I was doing wasn't making a living. So I was working part-time at that moment, and I saved some money, and I started very, very, very small. I started at the basement. I started with one punching bag. I was even using the chairs for some training. I bought the puzzle mats for the ground, so people, if they fall, I bought like less than $1,000 equipments. And then I started, having membership, and they were paying me membership coming on a regular basis. And then I managed to save an amount of money. And then I said, when I was going to rent the studio, it was too expensive for me. I could not afford it. And then I went there, and my friend called me, and she's like, just go check it. I said, I can't afford it. And she's like, just go check it. I went to check the space, and I fell in love with the space I checked. I could see my dreams happening there. So I had a deal with the owner of the space to have the payment on more like settlement. Every time I make money, I would go, pay the outstanding payment. And he agreed, and we signed a contract. And that's how I started. And then the first year I was even making a lot of money. Second year, more money, that I decided to move out from this space to expand to a whole floor in another building. And when I expanded to a whole floor, everybody's the same, like, you saved all this money for 2 years, you're going to invest it again in a bigger space? I said, yeah, that's how you grow. You keep investing back. This money doesn't stay in your bank account, really. You invest it back and back and back. And that's how it goes with entrepreneurs. I guess it went for me. I always reinvested the money I saved into my business. Yeah. So that's what made it unique. It was working on quality, branding, systems, changing the whole culture inside the company, meetings, environment. Environment is very important, because people will come to this environment every day, and they would expect to change their life. And if you change your life, they're not just going to come, they're going to bring their friends and their family. And I had one client brought 20 of their friends and families. And so that's like, for me, a whole source of revenue stream, right? Yeah.
Amazing. It surely is just like one of my, the stories I hear about entrepreneurs starting with nothing to a place where they are making a huge impact in other people's lives. I want to talk about the place where you started expanding internationally, and when you got recognized. Let's talk about that. What was it like? How did you start doing that?
Yeah, so as I said, the first award in 2014 opened up global stages for me. It was Europe the first time. It was in Germany. I was speaking Sweden. I spoke twice in Geneva. And I was working with an entrepreneurship office in Geneva in the United Nations. Oh. And and they helped me even, I had questions about how do you register a global brand? How do you do it? Because in Jordan, they don't have the systems of franchising. We're like the franchisee in the country, but we're never the franchisor of, a system. It's usually like you bring McDonald's, Starbucks is not a franchise. It's like a partnership. And they do partnership with the regional, huge offices that would deal with retail and deal with they bring all these brands. But for example, McDonald's is a franchise system. And I studied all these systems, understanding what's best for my system. Because my system is not even a sport. It's not even like CrossFit. So I even started to expand, I tried to expand like a CrossFit system, but it did not work because I'm working with women and I'm working on spreading awareness, while the CrossFit was working mostly, I think they have a huge percent men. The men who set up the studios were all men. And if a woman would set up a studio, it would be with her partner, who is also a CrossFit player, who's a man.
Okay.
So then I said, I have this big challenge, right? Women never set up businesses. So it was so challenging. I kept asking questions. What's the best system for me? And then I realized training of trainers as a start. I started training and certifying trainers. And then I started saying, okay, what advantages those trainers have, how much they can grow under the Shefighter umbrella, how much support am I going to give them? Do they need consultancy in setting up their own systems like trainings? So it was a lot of questions, a lot of years of testing. Some systems did not work. Some systems were a lot of waste of money and time. But I came to one system that works really well, which is they joined the training because they want you to be a partner. They don't want a franchise system.
Right.
Franchise is like, you take everything, I don't have to deal with it, but you pay me royalties, right?
Right.
But my system is new. It's not like something that have been going on for, generations and it's not even 10 years old. So I said, okay, what if I help you, set up everything. You get certified, you reach a certain level, you finish all your tests, and I get a percent of everything that you, let's say, if they provide a seminar or workshop, I get a percent and I help you set it up. So it became more like a partnership. And then it was the best decision because those women don't want to be left alone in the journey. It's not easy. I know, I was there. They're going to give up on it at some point. So they need all this consultancy and training and mentorship and Zoom calls and meetings. So so that's what's working for now. My dream would be having those trainers setting up their studios at some point, their own academies. So
I know you've got a huge goal you're working towards. I was looking at that by 2030 you want to have 10,000 instructors, which I thought that will, if you can achieve that, that'll be amazing, truly transformative.
Hopefully with the online makes it easier. So hopefully with the online systems.
Lina, we are coming toward the end of our time here together. What would you say to a business owner who has an idea right now and they truly believe in it? They know this will solve someone else's problem. And they are stuck as to what they should be doing right now. What would you say to them?
So the first thing, why they believe in this idea, is it because of they believe that they're going to become millionaires really fast, or like what's the intention behind the idea? Why?
Right.
It's the why they want to really have, not like they don't have to lie at themselves. It's okay to say I want to make money, I want to make a lot of money, but you have to be honest with yourself. That's number one. Why do you want to do this idea? Number two is just start small. If you don't have the capital for it, the budget for it, just start small and take it step by step and get the right network slowly to your life that will help you grow. And there's a lot of people who will believe in you and a lot of people who will not believe in you. So I would say just make sure you sit on every table of those people who believe in you, because they're going to give you a lot of ideas. They might not give you any, like they might not invest in you, but they will give you an idea worth gold.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Absolutely wonderful. Know your why and start small and, get the right community around you. Those are the final wise words from Lina. If you're joining us, it's Lina, who has had a tremendous journey from launching her business right from with nothing, and to where it is serving over 18,000 women right now. It all started in the Middle East with very much of resistance from culture and anything you can think of, but she managed to sail right through to the point that she was invited to the White House and acknowledged there. So If you've got any questions, reach out to Lina. Where can they reach out to you, Lina?
Shefighter.com.
Okay, and we will put the link as well below this audio so that you can just click and you'll be taken straight to Lina. And if you want to know any more about business or anything related to business, just head over to our community and we'll be delighted to serve you there. With that said, have a great day. And Lina, thanks for being on the show with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye-bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukai.businessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.